Holy cow, we're back again today on a 16 by 20 inch canvas that we've prepped with our white gesso from Artist Loft. This is level 1 white acrylic gesso, nice and nasty. Just makes a nice smooth surface, fills in all those potholes for us. Now we're going to cover our canvas in Bob Ross liquid white oil paint. Give the jar a nice shake, open it up, and then whatever gets trapped inside the lid, that is going to be just enough to use on our canvas today. So we're going to dip our 2-inch brush right into the top of that. Don't need to get it all the way up the bristles or anything. Kind of dump it in different places all over, because with this gesso on it, it's going to be very slippery compared to a dry canvas. It's going to spread a lot further, a lot faster. So work it in, stretch it to its limit. And if you have to fast forward through this section, I understand. I totally get it. You already know how to do this, but some people don't. So we have to kind of show you. You never know who's going to watch a video. They never watch them in the same order as you watched them in. They're not even shown in the same order. Some people don't even know about me still. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that someone doesn't even know about me still? Let's get the littlest more on the brush. A little bit down there, a little bit over there, and then again, we're just going to stretch it and reach everywhere. If you have too much on your brush, it's going to fling off. So keep a very small amount. You can always go back and get more, or shake up your jar again, put it back in your lid. Right? You don't have to go straight into the tub of paint right up onto the canvas like old Paint with Josh does, right? I have a fair amount of paint flung everywhere all over the wall in here, so don't be discouraged if you do as well. Let's see, back and forth across our whole canvas till it's nice and uniformly wet. We can see it. I can look down the side and be like, hey guys, that is nice and covered. Just like that. Let's put this away. Now I have an old nasty jar of liquid white that barely has anything left, but I like this little petri dish, so we like to pour just a little bit inside, and it's all gross. I would never use it to like prime the canvas anymore because it's had little bits of color dipped into it or not fully cleaned out of the lid. So, but it's perfect just to mix in for what we need. Get a little pile of that. And then we're going to show you what colors we have today. Cadmium yellow, bright red, dark sienna, which is the lighter color of the browns. Phthalo blue, which is the lighter color of the blues. Alizarin crimson, midnight black, and titanium white. Now we're going to start to do a sunset up here, very simply and easily. But first, my television is not turned on. It shows me your view. A lot of times with this super bright light, it's hard for me to see what you guys see, or I see it at a different, hue of color, or something is wrong. So I like to be able to look over here, and if I'm not looking directly at you, don't be discouraged, right? I have to be able to see what you see. So it's like a triangle of you going on over here. Now let's wash this brush off. Now we use odorless mineral spirits. Keep your house nice and smell-free, and really old, nasty, big, thick cups, right? You don't need a very thin cup, you need a very thick cup. Hold all of our thinner in. So I do have a short video or a TikTok video or a Facebook reel or Instagram reel on how we clean the brushes. So if you don't know, you can go find that. Right into the old bucket, comes out nice and clean. Fantastic. All right. Now, we're going to grab a nice clean dry fan brush. We're going to go into our white and into our yellow. A little bit of white on the brush, right into the yellow. It makes it super bright yellow. Gorgeous, right? Just like that, onto the fan brush. We're going to grab our old nasty cup, old trusty Dixie cup, and let's say, we go just right off center, about center, but off center to the right here. We're just going to push down and just leave a nice circle right around the edge of our cup. It'll be nice and thick. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the perfect round circle. It could be a little bit bigger, so you're like, oh no, now I've ruined it, right? No, it doesn't matter. All we're going to do is just blend that. So we're going to start to take this guy in just from every hour, right? So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? We're going around the clock. Rock around the clock tonight. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Don't mind me, I'm just going to sing and paint. Okay. Knock it off, Josh. Everyone's turning off their videos immediately. Like, I didn't come here for him to sing. I came to watch him paint. Alright, let's take a 1-inch brush because it makes it a little bit easier. We're going to start to pull that yellow away, right? Just away from itself so it's not so thick. And then we're going to pull it into that little center area, make it nice and bright. And then we're really not going to touch that area very much at all. Now, I do need to mix up a little bit of the red into this white and yellow mixture that we have right here to make this gorgeous orange color. Is this going to be one of those videos where Josh can't even talk? How are we supposed to learn if we can't even hear what he's saying? Or if he doesn't even know what he's saying? There we go. Nice, gorgeous orange color. It needs to be a little bit deeper, darker than you think because it's going to start to mix and blend as we put it up here. So, into our 1-inch brush, just around the edge. All right, you see how it starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter as you have less paint on the brush. It starts to mix in with that liquid white and really starts to go really bright on us. So, if you want to maintain those colors, you need to have a fair amount of paint and have it be a little bit darker than it was before. Now let's go into the red. A little bit of that red up in here. You see it's a little darker. All right, let's grab a little bit of that crimson too. Just red and crimson together. Oh yes. All right, all we're doing is just dumping it on. Dumping on a little area of color, and then we can go back and blend it all out, right? These are all about 2 inches, maybe 2 inches from, width-wise, about the size of our brush in a couple swipes. You judge it like that. Let's see, a little bit of our pinkish, gorgeous crimson-y color. Now we start to do a little bit of crimson, a little bit of blue. As we come up here, look at that beautiful dark purple. But again, you got to keep enough paint on the brush to have it stay that beautiful dark color. Otherwise, it's going to really want to mix in with all these gorgeous bits of that Bob Ross white that we put on there. Anything we mix with that's going to want to go lighter. So, just like that, a little bit more of the crimson. Ooh, nice and red side over here. That's gorgeous. As always, we try to cover the sides. It just takes a few seconds to take whatever the last color was that you had on your brush as the furthest color away and cover the sides with that color. And that way you can hang your canvas, you don't have to frame it, you can hang it, it'll be finished on the edge at least with one little bit of color is all you really need versus an unfinished white edge of a canvas, right? Just make it nice, just takes a few seconds to get it all mixed in up there. Totally doing it blind too, we can't even see what we're doing. Let's see, let's come over here. Always takes a few more swipes to get it all the way in there, all those little pores of the canvas, especially if you don't prep it with your Bob Ross liquid white first. You got to prep the sides just like we prepped the front of the canvas. So a little bit more crimson, get a little bit more purpley. There we go. And now we've got this beautiful mess on the canvas, all these gorgeous colors, all off of one brush. Didn't even need to wash it, right? As long as you go in that progression, you don't need to wash the brush until we get to the end. Now we wash the brush. Now wir waschen und uns brushens. Okay. Now we're going to be very, very, very light-handed. We go back to that dry 2-inch brush that we used earlier to put the liquid white on the canvas. Really don't want to touch our white circle because it's so gorgeous. So let's just start to mix these in just very softly, right? Just making little circles. Don't want to bring too much of the orange into the yellow and vice versa, too much of the yellow out into the orange. And just start to grab it along the edge, mix and mix and mix and mix and mix, very lightly, like very light pressure, you're not pushing really hard. All right, if you push really hard, a lot of that color is going to want to grow. So let's keep it in there, just using our light colors right now, because as soon as we go into that dark color, it's going to want to come down here and interrupt everything. It's going to be like, hey guys, what are you doing? What's going on over here? Can I come in too? Me and all my dark color buddies, can we all come in and join the party? Look at this. The more and more and more you mix it, the softer and softer it becomes. Right? More and more and more and more and more. And all this dark color is going to want to grow into our center. So that's why we like to leave it a little bit out. Just like that. And it can grow. It can grow. You just don't want it to cover your very dark center area. Right? It's going to end up eventually changing the color of this yellow to something else as long as you're blending it correctly. Look at that. It starts to come in. You know what we can do is switch to a clean dry brush. Doesn't have any paint on it. I'm going to try to pull that color back away and just mix it very softly and very lightly using 2 brushes. You may have to go back and wash your 1 brush. There we go, nice and light and soft, and then we can't really tell where those lines are. Where is our lines of color, right? Nice soft bit. You can't even really tell like what colors we even had on the brush. It's all this soft kind of progression, light to a little bit darker, and then we're going to come into our dark area. So we can switch back to that brush that has all the crimsony color on it. Really grab it from its top up here and start to pull it in. Look, it wants to grow. So kind of leave our little streaks in our sky. And now we're starting to decide maybe we got a little bit of a cloud as that thing starts to come down, right? Not based on any shape or anything, just based on the colors that we're using up there. Right, I'm going to take this little bit of purple, blend this bit down, but again, I'm going to leave some areas that are different up in the sky. It doesn't all have to grow and become the same color. Even the purple is darker in some areas, is lighter in some areas. And that's what's going to make you have a nice painting right there. All this stuff down here, we want to save some of these beautiful colors that we laid down in this area. You don't want to have to cover everything. So don't go too crazy. Maybe this big dark guy just wants to be a cloud that just lives out here, and we just start to pull him out into our thing. It's a good way to kind of spread the color out while not blending it really far. You know what I mean? Nice little way. And then you can go pretend that even this is the shadow of a cloud and go light it up with some white or do something else and make it your own and make it gorgeous. It'll be gorgeous. Maybe we'd lose a little bit of that color because we come down in here and it's just maybe those two little pieces of cloud connect now. Just from taking a little bit of purple, right? Once it's purple, you can go back into your yellow, into your orange areas without having them go green, but you don't want to go straight blue. That's why we add that purpley darker color on there. And so as we're working, we can start to bring in our kind of trap or push our sun way off in the distance. Way off in the distance. Look at that. And you can even blend these out to all one color if you wanted to, but I like leaving little things of pink and orange and purple and red and crimson and all these little beautiful things that we'd initially put on the canvas. Maybe we take another little bit of that cloud. Maybe he's trying to come across the sun. Just a soft little thing that kind of blends into the same bit of colors that it is back here. No one really knows what it is. What's it connected to? Is it so far away that we can't tell? Is it the top of that one? Is there another one over here? Just very softly, kind of cutting into the sun. Or down here even. We might lose them. You never know. We might lose all of these little bits of clouds. Just like bouncing down. And all of a sudden we start to create, look, even as we brought that yellow bit out, it started to lighten it up out there. You tap into that yellow and bring it out here. Or a bit of our white just onto our brush. Just to brighten it up just the littlest bit. Look, it's kind of lighting up just the smallest little bit of clouds back there. It's very nice. Very soft, right? We're using such small pressure and such soft amount of small paint that we can swipe over our scene and not really change too much about it because it's all been blended nice and softly. Look at that. All right, we missed this part down here, but that's okay. Now that we've got, this is mainly blue, that's why I didn't want to touch it, and then go back up into all of our nice, beautiful yellows. There we go, look at that. And all of a sudden, we've got this cool sky that we can sort of put together off on our, in our minds back in the distance back there. There's another little bit of cloud. Just as we see it, just starts to come in off from, look, just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. That's what's going to make your painting sell. All these little layers of clouds, different things, especially when you light them all up a little bit differently. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Look at all the darkness underneath this guy now. Just because when I looked over at the other camera and what you guys see, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's got to be, we have to have it. And maybe we'd lose this whole cloud. So you don't really, you don't have to really stress about too many things. It's the worst part about painting is the stressing out, right? And if it's stressful, if it's not fun, you're not going to want to continue to do it. So I like to teach you cool little ways, cool little tricks to paint a very cool little neat looking sky. Just like that. Let's wash these brushes off. All right, now we need to light these clouds up with a little bit of white. So we're gonna take a very, very, very small amount because these ones are so far away that they don't really need a whole huge amount of white. I mean, just a little bit, in different places along the bottom or the top of their little shadow, right? We're gonna take our 1-inch brush or our 2-inch brush, whatever one's more comfortable for you, and just swipe across nice and flat. They're very far off in the distance. There's not a lot of detail to them, which is exactly what we want them to look like. Let's take a little bit more of that white, maybe come up here, start to shape in these guys. Just by dabbing on, leaving spaces so this paint can grow together, right? Maybe there's stuff down here needs a little bit more because the sun's underneath, right? Then we're just gonna take that very, very, very softly. Very softly. If you do it too hard, you're gonna blend all the little differences away. And then it's not gonna look like a cloud anymore. So soft, all over the place. All right, take our 2-inch brush or your 1-inch brush. I recommend the 2-inch brush for the cloud flattening. It's very easy and quick, and it's less likely to make a mistake. If the 1-inch brush push too hard, you can make a mistake. So let's come up in here. Maybe we had some of these guys off in here. They're a little bit closer than these far away guys. So they need to be a little bit brighter or have a little bit more paint to kind of blend with. So we'll take a little bit more, a couple more dabs in there. And this guy goes and lives off over here. You can just imagine where and when or how you want your sky to look. And just start to throw them in. And they look funky, right? They're like, it doesn't look like a cloud until you start to mix it, right? There is no designated shape for a cloud. So as long as you can mix it to where you have a little bit of difference between those little colors, a little bit of shadow, a little bit of light, a little bit of difference, right? It's all about the differences. How many times did Josh say it? Is no one listening still? I mean, look, all these little things. It's got a little bit different shadow because we use that darker bluer color versus this lighter pinkish color. You get these very soft things. The more and more and more you mix, the softer and softer and softer they become, just like this until they disappear. Watch. Oh, it's gone. Now we've replaced it with some shadow. Ooh, that's fantastic. Too bad, you know, this bottom bit's going to be mountain. All this stuff will be mountain down here. I'm going to try to retain some of that color though. But very, very, very cool little things. And you can just change on the fly, just like that. You don't have to continue on with whatever idea you had. You could see something and go, ooh, this kind of looks like this would be a neat cloud if it was like just the base of it, this gigantic thing, right? I wasn't even going to put any more clouds in the sky until I saw this stuff. And leave it, like, look, the cloud is never it's just a flat thing, right? So take our paint, make some little grooves, make all these little crazy motions. And that's what's going to make it cool. Look at that as we blend it. Oh, just don't overdo, right? We're not going to overdo it. Not going to overdo it, Joshy. Just like that. And now all of a sudden we have this huge bit of cloud that's coming around the side. It's starting to come over here. I don't want it to really connect. All right, we can even take it and just continue on, just mixing. All these little colors will mix together and you get these beautiful little bits of clouds, leaving some areas nice and light, but not too bright, right? The light's got to hit them somewhere, somehow. Just not too crazily, right? We don't want to go too nuts with the light. Otherwise, by the time we get to the front, our mountains aren't going to look like the snow is white because these are much brighter than the mountains. It's just not going to look right. Let's take this guy over here. Pop, 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 pop. See how we left room right there? Leaving that little gap, that little circle, because we have this bit of dark. And again, I'm not even going to use this side. I'm just kind of showing you in case you wanted to add more clouds and maybe not do a mountain. Just do a bunch of clouds, do a cloudscape, right? Because you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do exactly what we're doing. I'm just giving you an idea. Giving you an idea, giving you the technique, and going, hey, look, if you do this with that fan brush and then mix it, you make these really, really, really cool clouds. And then you go over to your painting and you go, it would look neat if my clouds look like that over here. And I did this, and then poof, and then you go, hey, look what Paint with Josh did to my clouds. He's awesome. And everyone else goes, yeah, he's all right. He's all right. A little bit soft. Trying to match that soft color back there. So we don't use a whole lot, and we mix it very softly, letting it blend. Don't want these two to connect, right? They're not the same. It's not, this is all one big cloud now that it all looks relatively the same like that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. We might just put our mountain there and see I gotta have a big one. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna lose a lot of that cloud, but I wanted to show you, I'm the painter that shows you everything. You want to learn how to paint a whole cloudscape? We'll do a whole cloudscape. I mean, we literally could. Oh my goodness. What a cool tutorial that would be. If we just finished this bit off with clouds and left that whole bit just like that. Painting done. Over. Damn. That's a cool idea for another one. That's a cool idea.